When you get into filmmaking, at one point, the different types of shots you shoot become repeatable. My name is Kenneth and I am the filmmaker and creative director for Havenwood Construction. I've been in filmmaking world for 6 years and I watched countless videos on filmmaking and got a specialization certificate in advanced videography. Today, journal topic I want to talk about is the camera movement that makes every shot cinematic. Chapter 1, the move I trust the most. Every time I do subject tracking with my gimbal, whether I am panning left or right, I can see how amazing it is going to look. Even the ones where I walk toward the subject, I was thinking a lot to myself lately, and I wanted to know if there was one shot that I would always include in every job site I enter. The only shot that always populated my thoughts was the orbit shot. The orbit shot is a dynamic shot that requires the subject to be in the center as you orbit around them within the same radius distance and requires a lot of patience to get the perfect shot. I have done many different shots and the orbit is something I just get so proud of doing every time I complete it. The psychological reason the move works is because it is really rare to see an orbit shot. Not many can replicate a shot like this because it requires more effort and movement. I'm telling you that if you watch the best performing footage in real estate on social media, they always include an orbit shot. Why do I say real estate? Because I believe real estate content usually has repeatable framing, angles, and movements. And it turns out that every high performing one does the same camera shots, but they always include the orbit shot. And that is usually the one that everyone compliments. Chapter 2, why I moved from static to dynamic. I believe that my job as a filmmaker is to be as far as I can be from the beginner and intermediate filmmakers. This difference that sets me apart requires more expensive gear and more preparation up front. A lot of YouTube videos are filmmakers who simply use handheld shots and tripod shots with amazing composition. They learn how to dial in their manual settings and know which lens produces the best background blur and has the sharpest videos. To the average viewer who's not in the filmmaking world, those two metrics are the key to cinematicness. However, to me, it is basic 101. So most shots on YouTube filmmaking are replicatable, including the ones you see on my channel. A few years ago, I started to shift from static to dynamic, and those two differences are huge, as one requires movement and subject tracking, the other requires patience. So what do you need for an orbit shot? Like what lenses and background blur? Now the cool thing is that you can either blur the background or not. However, the subject isolation usually looks more premium. But in real estate, for example, you need to have more in focus than blurring. The lenses you want can be either tight 50mm to 100mm or wide angle 18mm to 28mm. These different focal lengths are used for different purposes. However, I personally love the 50mm a lot more. Chapter 3, YouTube filmmaking is now flooded with AI scripts and not flooded with real life experience. Over the years, I used to journal my life. There was not once I missed a daily journal and I would heavily reflect on my life. As artificial intelligence came, it became really easy for it to generate scripts, ideas, and key points you can talk about on your channel. I was heavily into AI scripts and I also spent over 200 hours speaking to AI to master a structural format template to make my videos always hit the correct words. However, as I watch other YouTube videos, the scripts were not real. The footage was real, but what was said was not. I think that is more important than the orbit shot itself. Chapter 4, storylines matter just as much as the orbit shot. When you are like a solo filmmaker, you have to make an idea, create a story, build the shot list, film the entire list, and then edit all the footage. It is a lot of work, and I have the money to delegate all of the video editing process. However, I thought about it. What is the number one place I should delegate my work to? And to be honest, video editing was the main one I kept thinking about. But then I realized something. Very important. All these processes I have to do as a filmmaker, solo filmmaker, are what makes a filmmaker. If you cannot imagine your script visually and see what you can shoot with your camera, it is a skill that is critical to your success. I realized that instead of delegating work, it is more important to get a worker who can co-create with you. Chapter 5, this is how you always get the cinematic shot. So we built the wall, and the entire wall was joined together to half its height, for the people had a heart to work. I'm telling you right now that you will never go as fast as you want without having a team with you and someone who you will train, and they will train you to sharpen each other's skill. To always get that cinematic shot is having the heart to do it, backed by a team who has the same heart as you. If you're the cameraman, you are the director who creates the shot, and the shot you create becomes cinematic. And to create cinematic, you need a heart to work. The harder you work to stray away from the average filmmakers, the more effort you put up front, the more you will reap what you will sow. Chapter 6, takeaway lesson. As I continue to build my experience in this industry, I will tell you that sensor sizes do not matter if you want to make a name for yourself on YouTube. The expensive gear I mentioned was lenses, lights, diffusions, and your location environment. The preparation I said you need to do up front is the scripting without artificial intelligence, the public speaking skills you need to have, and the value you will give to someone else. Every video you will see from my channel moving forward is truly coming from my heart, because I journal my thoughts a lot, and I only have one friend. I love my parents, I have an unbreakable bond with my blood brothers, and I believe Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. If there's anything you learn from me, it is that I want you to remember me as an honorable man. I hope you learned something new. As always, good luck and farewell.